Good morning, everybody. I'm Ed Parcaut here, Real Estate Jerky Daily. Mike's still out. I think he'll be back on Wednesday. Had some surgery. Wish him well. He's doing pretty good, but he just needs some extra time off and some relaxation. We all do need it sometime, even if we didn't have surgery. All right. So we have a lot of news this week, a little bit today, but a lot of news this week. The reason I'm late is I was watching the president talk about what they're doing in DC. And I don't know how you feel about the National Guard and all that kind of stuff, but I think we need to fix our issues and clean up our streets so that my wife is safe walking wherever she wants to walk. And I think that's the most important thing. As guys, we don't realize that what women have to go through to run if they're training or do other things and what they have to worry about. So I'm all for any show of force we can to protect our women, children, and even myself as I get older. Anyway, that's my point. You don't have to agree with me because that's the way it is. I serve this nation so that you could have your own opinion. And that's what I hope for. So I'm sure Bill Phillips will make his little statement. Hey, Bill, how you doing, buddy? You doing okay? All right. So we had inventory. Is actually down this week. We're down 6,524. We're down to 859,096. What is that telling us? I think that's telling us that people are unsure about this market. I'm thinking even though rates came down a little bit and then went back up, that people are really still unsure. I get it. But I have people who, even though they were unsure, they're still buying houses because they know eventually there's only so many houses and so much. I keep hearing people say, well, that it's going to have, this unaffordability is going to have to break one point and prices are going to have to come down or rates are going to have to come down. Well, prices, if they come down, it's only because people have to sell. Most of these people have really low interest rates. They don't have to sell. And so I just think we'll be there before we know it. I think it's going to be, I just can't wait till the end of the year, see where we're at, see where everything's going. I think it'll be much better, but let's get into some of the stuff we're working on today. So right now, I can't tell you what the market's doing, but I'll tell you what the 10-year treasury is sitting at 4.27. That's down 1 basis point from the open. And rates are about 6 basis points better. What does that mean to you? Don't know because I don't know your FICO score. I don't know what you're buying, but it's actually better than it was on Friday. One of the things we're talking, so we got things that are coming out this week. Let me get to that first because that's the most important thing. We have CPI coming out this week, Consumer Price Index tomorrow, Wednesday mortgage applications, Thursday producer price index, initial jobless claims, Friday's retail sales, industrial production capacity. So we have three or four different things that will move the market this week, one way or another, telling whether we have inflation or not, and if we're going to continue to see the push to have rates dropped in September. But remember, last time they lowered rates, mortgage rates went up. I don't think it's going to happen this time, but we just never know. We've never been in this situation before. Never been here. Never had this tariff thing going on, a president taking on certain things that could destroy his legacy. He's taking them on, and good for him. He knows what he's doing, I guess. I don't know. But I want to go back to inventory. For the first time, we've seen active housing fall the first week of August. Normally it goes up. It actually went down. It's very unusual that season flows showing growth since late June. Lower, the issue that we're seeing, I think, like I said, people are uncertain where the market's going, uncertain what to do, uncertainty. That is the time to take what's the worst thing that could happen if you buy a house today and it drops 20 grand or 50 grand over the next 2 years? What's it going to do in the next 5 to 10 years? Because you're buying that house to live, because you need to live somewhere anyway. Eventually, it's going to, even if it did do that, your payment, you're going to be able to refinance, you'll be able to go forward. If you have questions, reach out to somebody you trust, reach out to somebody, talk through the situation and what you're worried about, and let's answer those questions so you know what to moving forward. All right. So what did I have to talk about today? I talked about what's going on in the market. I talked about the inventory. I talked about what's coming out this week already. They're also looking at, Trump had made a statement that they're on Truth Social, in that we're going to see Fannie and Freddie IPO. they're looking at doing an IPO for Fannie and Freddie. If you don't understand Fannie and Freddie is the place that conventional loans are done, and that's up to 806,250 plus. In certain areas, it's higher than that. But what happened in 2008 into 2009, they're about ready to go they BK upside down, and the government took them over. And they've been owned by the government ever since. And they're looking at doing IPO. So they're looking at that could raise about $30 billion. Can you believe that? Wow. We're sure making a lot of money these days. All right. So that's going to possibly happen this year. The question really going to be if they go private, there's a difference. Right now, they're backed by the government. So rates are even lower. If they were not backed by the government, they're private. The rates might not be as low as they are now. So there is a catch 22 on all this stuff. Another thing is for people, if you're trying to reach out to people to help them buy homes, like they're talking about, there's a whole bunch of people that aren't looked at or we forget about, and those are the first generation home buyers. Those are the people who have their families have never owned a home in their life. 70% of new homeowners will be those type of people, first generation home buyers. So maybe you should be reaching out to them and helping them understand how they could afford. So they don't have anybody explaining to them how to buy a house. We need to put more education out there for them, go through community partnerships, do that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of areas in California that could be helped with that situation. I understand that only 44% of the people in California can own a home. I get that. I keep hearing that from people. However, it's always been a situation in California where only a small amount of people could afford. When rates went down, that went up, and rates will eventually go down. Are they going to go down to 2%, 3%? Probably not. Not in I can't say in my lifetime because I don't have much longer. But I'm just saying, we don't know. So don't plan on it getting out low. You don't want that to get that low. The market will go crazy. You talk about, yes, you might be able to afford it today, but then those prices are going to go up again. We don't need to see what we saw in 2020, 2021, and 2022, where our values in Modesto went up 22% a year. We don't need that type of appreciation. We need a normal average appreciation, kind of like we're having. Average appreciation is 4 to 5% a year. The problem is we've not built enough homes. We're so far behind. We're not going to have average appreciation going forward. We will have higher than average. And it's going to get to a point where I see that most people will not be able to afford a home in a lot of places. I'm not just talking California, I'm talking Texas, Las Vegas, everywhere. All right. So I'm kind of going on and on and on, which I normally don't do when Mike's not here. I just want to make sure I covered a few things I wanted to. The most important thing is inventory is not going up. It kind of came down. And when Mike gets here on Wednesday and Friday, we'll see where we are locally and in the state to see if that's the case, if we're seeing that here. Because remember, these numbers are nationwide, and that is a lot of other places like Florida and Texas. So Florida was having, for every 100 listings, they had 59 delistings. Did you hear what I just said? So that's how they're losing amount of people who are coming on the market. That's just huge. All right. So I'll be back tomorrow. We'll be talking about consumer price index to see where the inflation is, and we'll see if that's going to rally, because maybe we're floating into tomorrow, but we don't know. If the number works for the people, lock it and move on, because you have more of a chance to go up and where they can't afford it, then more of a chance to make it more affordable. You'll always be able to refinance them down the road. All right, that's all I have for today. I know it was short and sweet, but anyway, I hope all doing well. And if you have any questions, reach out. I'm Ed Parcaut. You can find me everywhere. If you need a copy of my book, reach out. All right, talk to you later. Have a great day.